mics.
Stay on or not?
Stay on?
Turn them off now.
Oh, okay. Just like the lights.
Good afternoon, everybody. We seem to be ready to go, even though it's a very, very beautiful summer day out there. I don't know to whom do we owe the credit for the summer day, and who can we blame for having a meeting today? You'll take the credit for the summer day.
Blame the nation.
Councillor Stoyles takes credit for the summer day, and we can't blame Stephen Harper for having a council meeting, can we? We can blame him for just about anything at all. Okay, everybody, we will get the agenda underway. I want to say welcome to Rogers here, so everybody's got to be on their best behavior and all that kind of good stuff, because we got all the folks looking in tonight. And we'll call the meeting to order. The first thing to point out, of course, two of our councillors not with us. The deputy mayor is not only out of town and out of the province, out of the country. He's on some kind of a major tour with a group of students. They're gone to Beaumont-Hamel, that area. So he's gone for a while. Councillor Walsh continues his recuperation and recovery, and we are now expecting him back before the end of July. He's doing really, really well. So we're very pleased with that, but obviously we'll have to have a little jumping around with some alternates today. First thing is we will entertain accepting the agenda as presented, moved by Councillor Ledwell. It is seconded by Councillor Aker. Are there any additions to the agenda as it is currently outlined? And I see I do have a paper document for Regional Services and Environment Committee. I also have, I believe, this would be, Councillor Aker, an updated invoices for approval. Yes, sir. And I don't know if the rest of council has received this. This is a copy of consolidated financial statements for the year end December 31st. Did everybody get a hard copy of this? Or would have this, Mr. Silver, this would be in Dropbox?
We have it available. We only got 2 weeks after.
Okay, so you never made copies for all of council, just this one here. Okay, these things have been added to the agenda. Are there any other additions? Hearing none, we'll call it. All in favor? Aye. Contrary minded, the motion is carried. Moving to the agenda, the first item would be the minutes and action report of our meeting of June 17th, 2004. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Moved by Councillor Tessier. It is seconded by Councillor Stoyles. Are there any errors or omissions? Again, this is for the minutes of June 17th. Errors or omissions only. Last chance. Hearing none, we will call it. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Business arising. Any items of business arising, please refer to the agenda item number attached to each of the motions. Any business arising?
Yes,
Councillor Tessier.
Item number 415, the paratransit public consultation. We did have the public consultation. We had a small crew of people show up, but I've got to say it was very informative. We got some great information, and I think the big takeaway, aside from some of the feedback, and of course we're still able to receive feedback, well, the consultant is, but the big takeaway is how impressed everybody was that we're actually doing a review.
Really?
We're just asking some questions. This is a service that we're happy to provide. How is it? And people were really
I
happy
would have
with
thought.
that.
I would have thought that you might have gotten some maybe negative feedback at the committee that we're looking at something. And somebody might think we're looking at it from with a cost-saving lens on, and that we're trying to save money and cut the service or things like that. You didn't get that feeling?
No, not at all. In fact, it was made very clear, and Mr. Carpentier did a great job of articulating this as well. It's all about the service that we're providing. Are there rooms for, is there room for improvement? Are you happy with it? What do you like? What would you like to see? And in keeping with this council's own mandate to improve the services that we offer, continual improvement of our services, this is a service that we offer that we've really never just gotten the feedback on. So they were really pleased.
And hopefully you will get more, because as you say, you had a small turnout.
We had a small turnout. We got some
When
good
we say
feedback.
turnout, did we get many users? Let me put it to you that way.
We got a couple of users. We also got some people who are representatives of user groups.
Okay, so the coalition
The Coalition for Persons with Disabilities had somebody there.
had representation?
Yes, that's
okay.
right.
Excellent.
So that was great. So that was wonderful. And somebody who also is involved with the spina bifida, spinal cord injury group was there as well. So they were pleased, and we got some good feedback. But again, the consultant is able to receive information for the next week, probably week and a half now. Because at that point we said for another 2 weeks. So they were putting the word out as well to the user groups.
So
they
that can be
still
done through
provide.
Mr. Collins or through your office as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. What will be the next step then? I appreciate we've had a public meeting. Is there more public consultation involved in this, or what's the next step?
The next step, I mean, really, we just need to see what the feedback is to determine what the next step is, quite frankly. You know, so if everybody's happy, well, there may be no next step.
This
but
is
if
pretty
there's-
open-ended.
Yes, that's right. So I think really it would be premature to say what the next step is until we receive feedback and we have a compilation of that feedback for the consultant to look at.
That's very good. Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that particular item or any other business arising? Nothing? Nothing? Okay, we are going to move along. The next item would be proclamations, and we do have well, not a proclamation today as much as a presentation. A presentation is going to be made to us by the Royal Bank of Canada. Karen, are you going to do this for us? I'm going to get you to come up. Hold on now. I got to turn on this microphone. This is always interesting. I'm going to get you to talk a little bit about RBC, the Waterford River Cleanup Blitz, and all of that, and what you're doing.
Well, thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate it. I'm Karen Squires. For those of you that don't know me, I am the manager of RBC Mount Pearl. Back in May, myself, together with our regional vice president of Newfoundland and Labrador, Jeremy Stormy, and our team, and family and friends, we participated in the 2014 Waterford River Cleanup Blitz. RBC participates in many projects across Canada and the world through the RBC Blue Water Project. We give back to our community through children's health and well-being, arts and culture, sports, education, and of course, you know, it's important to us and it's important to our clients. So again, back in May, we did participate in the Cleanup Blitz, and I'm proud to present to the City of Mount Pearl a check for $1,000
Isn't that marvelous?
to go towards your Blitz for next year.
That is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. I'm going to get you to go out front here, and we're going to get all of council in on this if we can, to get you snap took. Why don't you and I step down? There we go. So seldom do we ever get money from a bank, right? We usually give money to a bank.
We only give it out once.
Once you've been out
Well, we're
No,
really,
that's
we're really proud of the cleanup, Karen, and we're really proud of your donation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, very much.
Well, thank you, Karen, very much for that, and pass on our heartfelt thanks to RBC, not only for putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to the particular Blue Water project, but actually having your staff and others show up and participate in the Waterford River cleanup and blitz. Now, here's the bad news for you. There had to be some. I had a meeting with Rotary last week. Not only spoke at a luncheon, but I had a meeting with the man that is responsible for the study that we're doing on the health of the Waterford River in Paradise, Mount Pearl, and St. John's. And we have identified the Blue Water Project as a potential funder to help with some of the work. So while we appreciate the $1,000, we're going to come looking for more. I hate to say it, but that's it. That's what's got to be done. And we're going to be looking to you to do that and be one of our cheerleaders. Karen Squires, thank you for this today. We really appreciate it. Council, join me in saying thank you to RBC for this again. How very wonderful that is. And, we're getting, I want to say we're getting the message out, but it's beyond that. We're getting some tremendous community support. from all over, not just here in Mount Pearl, but in the region. You know, people are supporting this initiative. It might be a silly dream to say we want the cleanest urban river in the nation. That might be asking way more than is possible. But I do believe that that's the benchmark. That's what you shoot for, right? We want the cleanest river in the nation flowing through a large urban center. Why not? You know, it's going to be great. Thank you, guys, and thank you once again to RBC. We have a number of correspondence today. The first one is simply a copy of a letter. And this letter is from Shirley Boone, the chairperson of the Mount Pearl Seniors Independence Group, and she's writing to Minister Steve Kent, the Minister of Municipal and Intergovernmental Affairs, basically imploring him to perhaps involve himself in what has become a dispute here in the city of Mount Pearl, primarily dealing with an affordable housing project that we anticipate building and hope to build at the end of Municipal Avenue. There has been some NIMBY attached to that, not in my backyard kind of things happening. We do have an appeal of council's approval going before an appeal board. And a number of seniors, so I understand in making inquiry about this, a number of seniors signed the letter almost like a petition, a copy of which you see, though I don't think it's a real petition in this instance. But my understanding is that a majority, if not all, of the people who actually signed this letter on the bottom are people that are actually on the waiting list for one of these units. So as Ms. Boone says in her letter here, she says it's been 2 years since the approval with no development started. 92 seniors are now on the waiting list for this one development. We understand there is an appeal to stop this development with a hearing date scheduled for July 21st. Delaying a project as important as this that would work so well for our city is outrageous. And she's asking the minister that they not allow the appeal board to delay the construction any further. Please don't force us to move out of this beautiful city. Support our seniors as you have so graciously done in the past. And that letter was presented to us, and so we tabled it here for the information of council. Does anybody have any further comment on it at all? I'm not sure even if the minister has actually responded to this particular letter at this point. I do understand the appeal is still scheduled for July 21st. It is my understanding that a request for a possible delay in that hearing date has been requested. We have certainly already, through the mayor's office, indicated to our lawyers and others that we are not in favor of a further delay in this. The people actually making the appeal. We will end up, their lawyers actually, we could end up losing an entire construction season, and we don't. If there's absolutely nothing wrong with the decision the city made, and I'm very comfortable that there isn't, I see no reason for any further delay in this. But having said that, we are going to go through the process. I just don't want to delay it. So July 21st is when the hearing will go forth. I have no idea if this letter will be tabled there or not, though. I would imagine it probably will be, but I don't know. You know. Any comment on it at all from anybody? I'm sorry, Councillor Ledwell, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to say that it's fantastic that we have now heard from the seniors on this important issue. You know, it's important to note that we do have these 90 to 100 people on a waiting list, and really it's those people whom we're trying to serve in supporting this particular development. So I, for one, am glad that we have heard from them, and them being probably the most important stakeholder in this particular issue. And I certainly do hope that letter does get tabled in the hearing, because I think it's an important piece of information.
Thank you, sir, very much. Anybody else? 26 units, yes. The 92 that are on the waiting list, there's only 26 units that would readily be available. And of course, there's another development for Park Avenue as well. There's another development that's continuing on down at Avery Place that's continuing to grow and be finished. So we're trying to do our share. We're trying to do our bit here. Anyway, and not to criticize residents in the area, I understand some of the things that they feel are challenges as a result of this development, but I do believe the city is in the process of answering those needs. You know, quite frankly, the people around Municipal Avenue are going to be better off with this development, but I guess we have to wait to see. We do have another item here, and this, of course, is a letter from Mayor Terrence Rogers, who is President of Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a letter that went out to the Honourable Terry French, the Minister for the Department of Environment and Conservation, and this is regarding littering and our resolution that was passed by MNL regarding littering and the need to increase the fines. Our fines, as I understand it now, can go up to as high as $400. But I believe we limited that to 100. I don't know why. If we did, we should change it. In the meantime, we want the capacity to enforce anti-littering policies and regulations in a more stringent way in the city. I'm more of a believer in a carrot than I am a stick when it comes to this kind of stuff. I want to recognize businesses and people who get out there and do the cleanups and see to it that, our trails and our walkways and everything are pristine. But we also have to have the regulated authority to really be able to step in and say to some of these business owners, these are your flyers, these are your cups, this is your cardboard, this is your garbage, clean it up. It's bad for our city. So that's the letter that's actually been written by the president, and he's basically sending to us to let us know that it was our resolution that they passed. He's following up for us. Any comment on it at all? Councillor Stoyles.
I think this might be a good time to mention something. I just came from a meeting with our CEO and our city planner. We've just hired Angela Pitcher to do a 6-month project with us. It's more, I guess, of a pilot project. And of course, as you named it, the war on litter was as you titled it yourself, Your Worship, back a number of months ago when we submitted this resolution. We wanted to take action ourselves as well, and this is the action that we have already taken. We're hoping that the government will look at changing the regulations also, but we've taken action ourselves, and we're going to be contacting all the businesses in the area, especially the ones that we feel are causing more litter and more problems in areas. I don't want to mention any specific business at this point in time, but when time moves on, if certain businesses don't clean up and follow the plan that we're putting forward, we bought the new containers, and most of our residential areas are pretty clean and that, but in our business areas and in some areas of the city, we're finding it just as bad as it has been in the past. So having Angela, and we want to welcome her aboard, and she's only started this her 3rd week, and we're looking forward to working closely with her, and our anti-litter campaign has started.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't know about anti-litter, but I will tell you this. Nobody can clean up now in fact. After campus. I don't know who did the work. No, not staff. I think it was volunteer people that were actually participating. So we had a beautiful day, an unbelievable turnout of people. It was fabulous. And I drove by there this morning at like 9:30, and you swear to God nobody's been on that field for a week, and just refreshing talk about how it was a marvelous piece of work. We really appreciate that being done. All right, forgot to turn on my mic. Sorry about that. And they're waving at me down there. Moving along, any other comment on the littering piece at this point in time? If not, I'm going to move on. The third piece was a decision of the appeal board, the Eastern Newfoundland Regional Appeal Board. This was in reference to our denying a gentleman the right to build a home in an area where we have decided that we want to maintain it as open space on the water, again, on the Waterford River. The gentleman appealed our decision. The appeal board, in the end, upheld our decision. And I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that at this point in time or not. It's tabled for information purposes only. Any comment from council? Hearing none, we are going to move along to committee reports. The first one will be Community Services. Deputy Mayor Locke is not here. I'm going to ask Councillor Stoyles to present the report on his behalf, and Councillor Aker, you will serve as an alternate on that committee.
We have a number of items. The first one is the Arena Board of Management. Of course, we support our Arena Board, and this is the 3rd subsidy that we will be giving to them in the amount of $40,000, and I shall move.
Moved by Councillor Stoyles, seconded by Councillor Aker. Question or comment? All those in favour? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
The next item is the bus service program, and of course we use outside bus company to do our summer tours for our seniors, and it was only one tender came in, and that was for the amount of $33,333.87, and I move that we will move this to exclusive transportation, and I so move. Executive transportation, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Question or comment? All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
The next item is for information only, and it's concerning City Days, which is taking place on July 18th to the 20th, and this year is our 26th anniversary, and of course more information will become available in the next week or so, but anybody can get on our website for the full schedule, and it's just get into the City of Mount Pearl website and click on the City Days, and you can get the whole, I think it's already up now for most information.
Yeah, like
But I
it's still a
think
movie. It's still a big movie night, right?
it's still a big movie night, it certainly
and
is.
still a big pig roast.
The movie night was one of the biggest events that we have
Yeah.
within the city. So
Yeah.
that's and of course Sunday evening is the biggest evening.
All the
we have.
oldies, all the goodies and oldies are still there, and there's some new stuff as well. Check out the website. That's good.
Next item is summer day camp, and of course just an update that we have 230 participants on a bi-weekly basis, and we're very proud of our summer camp program, and we have 3 different ones on the go, and with the summer on the go and people dropping off their children, we asked them, especially up at the Reed Centre where the construction is still ongoing, we just want people to be very mindful of going into the Reed Centre parking lot, and just want to let our residents know that we offer the day camp, and
you.
it starts Monday, July the 7th, and it's for 8 weeks. And a lot of people in our city take advantage of that for their
absolutely.
children, especially when they work in the summertime.
Absolutely.
So you're paying for supper.
Absolutely.
And we're going out this evening, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, going to say, hold on a second now. Can you believe it's a 188 number? I got a feeling I just want to cruise again.
Probably.
Captain speaking.
Carry on, Councillor. Sorry.
The next item, Your Worship, is about our new facility, and of course our new pool is 98% completed, financially completed, and we're looking forward to moving in. It's an amazing job. We've already been up and had a look around, and the stuff arriving every day. The fitness equipment has already arrived, and we're looking forward within the next couple of weeks and taking over and having. Actually, we attended the swimming dinner there last week, and we were telling them that hopefully within the next number of weeks that we will be able to take over. And I told them they could be the first ones to swim in our pool, or some of the first people to swim in our pool. So I'm looking forward
What?
to...
Not us?
No, not us. I think the people who swim in our pool all year long and use our facility. I think when we start, I'd like to see them first on the list to be up there. They're
So
a
let me
great
get
group
this
of
right.
people.
Councillor Stoyle said that the Marlins could be the first to swim in the new pool.
Yes.
Councillor Akers said it will be Special Olympics that could
Well,
be
it can be
the first
some
to
of
swim in
both.
the new pool.
It's a big pool, Your Worship.
Well, we got 2 pools.
I kind of thought we'd let the seniors be the first. Your turn, Councillor Ouellette. Well, any particular group for you to be the first?
I don't want to get involved in this, Your Worship.
No, you're staying out.
I'm staying out of this.
How good? What about you, Paula? Any the first, Councillor?
We should open it up to our
Citizens, let them be the first.
Everybody.
community now.
We have 2 pools, so I think we can invite the whole
Oh, we
community
got
out.
2 pools
But-
and a big hot tub and is it a 2-story slide?
Only for citizens.
A splash pad for
A
the little
splash
kids.
pad,
We've
so
got-
it's going to be lots of them.
And according to Mr. Rantle, we have numerous pipes. And none of them had better leak. And according to Jason Collins, our Director of Community Services, we are going to be open by mid-August, right?
We are. Hopefully before that.
Man, how did you ever get married? Because you won't commit to anything. So how did you ever say I do? It's unreal. Anyway, mid-August, right, Councillor Stiles?
Oh, hopefully before mid-August. We get home in July, and we've already taken over the commissioning of it, so hopefully we'll be open sooner rather than later. I'm telling people to cross your fingers. The only other thing I wanted to mention, we did have our job fair up there last week, and we're going to be hiring over 30 people, both part-time and full-time employees, and we had over 150 people that attended that job fair. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Moving on, we have Corporate Services Committee. Councillor Aker, if you would.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. First item on the agenda today is the uncollectible tax accounts. We have a couple write-offs being proposed. These are business taxes, in which case we don't have the ability to put a lien on the property and for sale at the end of the day to collect them. These 2 accounts, as you can see them listed here, I believe they're both bankrupt. The amounts are $1,121.40 as well as $1,752.40, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Aker, seconded by Councillor Tessier. Any question or comment on these write-offs? All those in favour? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Thank you. I just want to bring to the attention of Council and to the public that we've done some recent projections on our year-to-date so far. Our year-to-date actuals are coming in pretty good. The only area that's a little bit over budget at this time is our snow clearing. And I guess we knew that probably about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. It was a long, late winter. Our snow clearing is over budget by about $300,000, which, on a budget of $40-odd million is not too bad. The city budget, that is, for $40 million.
I'm going to get a clarification from you on that in a second.
No problem. Most of this has been a little bit of extra overtime. Plus, I believe we extended staff by the 2 weeks there in late March into April, so that basically we could keep up with the season, which didn't end on time or as forecast, right? The Director of Corporate Services, in working with all the other directors, Your Worship assures us that we got some better collection results on our taxes, both residentially as well as commercially, and we don't anticipate any problems. We expect to be balanced by the end of the year. Questions?
Okay. Yes, I have a question for you, and then I'll invite others. The $300,000 you say we're over budget on snow clearing by approximately $300,000. My question is this: are we actually $300,000 over because the entire snow clearing budget is gone, so we're legitimate $300,000 over, or are we just at a pace? Our budget is not gone, but at this pace we would be $300,000 out. What are we actually saying?
It's at this pace. Currently, we have not expended our full 2014 budget.
That was my point.
So basically, by the time the year ends, we may not actually be over by 300. It depends on the experience we're going to see in the fall, but that's just based on previous experience from November, December.
So it would be valid to say, if we had to continue to spend on snow clearing at the pace we did November, December, January, February, March, let's say next October, November, and December, we're going to be well over.
Correct.
Okay, that's kind of a little point I was trying to clarify. All right.
Thankfully, expenditures for a calendar year include 2 winters, and quite often, unless you get 2 winters in a row, sometimes you get the benefit of a weak winter to balance off some of the extra expenditures associated with a strong winter. Either way, we're going to continue our snow clearing effort. If we did go over budget, we have contingencies in place to manage our other lines to ensure at the end of the day that the city does not incur a deficit for the year.
We'll be okay.
We'll be okay. I just wanted to give a capital works update to council for actually the kit says 2015, but it really is 2014. Essentially, we've got about $43.7 million in capital works projects that are ongoing, made up of 4 items. Basically, we're going to complete the Reed Center this year, which is the Reed Center, the multiplex, and the new pool. That's about $3.5 million. We have multi-year capital works from 2013 and prior years, mostly 2013, in the amount of about $14.7 million. Most of that is street upgrades and recreational facility upgrades, and that is going to be done throughout this year and maybe spill over a little bit into next year. But the funding has been set aside from tax revenue. That includes projects such as Campia, as well as a new minor baseball field over by, I believe it's over by St. Peter's Junior High, as well as the development of our passive park at St. David's, as well as upgrades which are coming soon, I think, to the Team Gushu Sports Complex, which is mostly paving in the area, as well as improvements in the area surrounding the baseball and the softball field. We've also committed with the Department of Municipal Affairs on a 70-30 multi-year capital works project. This runs for 2014 to 2016. So over 3 years, we've committed $20 million, which I guess the first year will come out this year. Planning is already underway, basically. We've identified those projects, we've prioritized them, and basically planning is underway now to do the work with our engineers to come up with the actual scopes of work. So that'll be put into action very soon. And the last item is $5.5 million in other projects and other upgrades within the city. Thank you very much. That is for the information of council. Don't require any motion on that. That's all based on past activity. The next item, Your Worship, it just came in today, and
this is the document. This is the document I referenced.
It is, and I'd like to table that document, Your Worship, and I apologize to council that we don't have a copy for everybody. But I do want to make note that The city's financial statements normally come in every fall, which is approximately anywhere from 9 to 12 months after year end. Our year end is December 31st. In this case, December 31st of 2013. I want to say congratulations to the Director of Corporate Services and all of the staff in Corporate Services for getting these statements done. One of the key foundations of any transparency and accountability is your ability not only to produce your financial statements, but have them audited and have them published so the public can see them. So I just want to throw congratulations to the department. These are not signed, but what I would ask council today is, would they give permission to the city CIO as well as the mayor to sign off on these statements? Essentially, we can't affect any changes in these statements. They've been prepared by professional staff, and they've been audited by a firm called Harris Ryan Chartered Accountants. Basically, it is what it is, and all we can do right now is explain some of the picture. And I just wanted to take a second to go over the highlights. These are not the financial statements that we use for the budget. These basically are prepared according to Public Sector Accounting Board guidelines, and they're more reflective of what the cost of operations is during the year. What do we take our tax dollars and what do we invest them in? So, for example, in looking at these statements, Your Worship, a good thing, for example, is investing in the future. So taking tax dollars and not necessarily spending all of it on operations, but investing it in facilities, streets and services, assets that will last, I won't say a lifetime, but will last 20, 30, 40 years, so that future generations won't necessarily be saddled with taking tax revenue to build streets. Another good thing that's reflected in these statements too is that you don't really want to use a lot of your debt to finance that investment. Otherwise, that gets you into trouble down the road. Your debt servicing ratio becomes too high. Too much of tax dollars then are going towards paying off the debt as opposed to operations. In the case of the City of Mount Pearl, we've borrowed to build a multiplex, and I think that's a very well-founded strategy. The multiplex is going to cost upwards of in the high $30 million range. Mm-hmm. We would almost have to take a full year's tax budget and put that into the multiplex in order to pay for it. And then we'd have no money left over for all the other stuff that we're trying to do, including clean water, garbage collection, and all the other good stuff that we do, like I said. These statements reflect that. Our net debt is just over $37 million, and it has increased somewhat by about $14 million. And at the same time, though, we still invested in tangible capital assets at $24 million. So when we invested that $24 million, we only used $14 million of debt, primarily for the multiplex, in order to get that done. The accumulated surplus of the city as of December of 2013 is around $96 million, and that represents the cumulative investment that the city has made from tax dollars over the last few years, and represents, again, as I was saying, a good thing, because that means we've invested in the future of the City of Mount Pearl and its infrastructure. During the year, I call them the PSAP statements, they show a surplus of $4.2 million. That doesn't mean that we have $4.2 million to give back on the tax budget. The tax budget is a cash budget, where we have to match up expenditures for cash with the cash revenue coming in on taxes and fees. The $4.2 million really represents current year dollars that have been invested in the long term. To quote an accountant, we've capitalized those, Your Worship, and we're depreciating them over the life of the assets that we put in place. And overall, the results are better than budget, due mainly to the timing of the borrowings required for the multiplex construction, and there's been savings in some of the interest on the long-term debt. So I'd like to commend the department on a good job, and actually give a little kudos to everybody for a job well done in managing our finances. There is no real red flags here at all. These are good results, and I'm really happy with the timing that they've come out so early this year. And I'd like to table them for approval, Your Worship.
So it is moved by Councillor Aker, I'm assuming seconded by Councillor Tessier, that the consolidated financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2013 be accepted as presented. I will call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Thanks, sir. The next item we have are invoices for approval, I believe. Yes. And there's an amended copy that was laid on your desk when you came in. It's pink. The amount for approval is $1,789,956.83. And I wanted to add that regional services comprises the biggest share of that, around $925,000, for things like regional fire, for water supply. In addition to that, we have streets and infrastructure of about $265,000, and And we have also a payment there for the multiplex of $460,000. That represents, I think, payment number 25. We're getting near the end. We're getting near the end, Your Worship, of a project. I think Councillor Ledwell may be giving an update in a second. But from a financial point of view, it's been very, very well managed. It's on budget. It's on time. And I know for my first term on council, we sat around with a lot of pressure to get on with the job. And council said, no, we need to make sure we get the right tender out there. We matched the facility with the budget. And I think we went back to the community several times, at least twice, before we got the tender right at the end of the day. So the multiplex may be only being built now, but it'll last a generation. And there's no doubt there's been good, strong fiscal management, both from the Public Works and Infrastructure Department as well as corporate services. So, Your Worship, the total is $1,007,089, and I'd like to move that.
It is moved and seconded. These are invoices listed 1 through 16 now. Any question or comment on any of those invoices? Again, listed 1 through 16. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Item number 6, Your Worship, is coming from M&L, which is Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. It's for information purposes. The James Hiscock Memorial Scholarship, just to remind you, the application deadline is August 15th. Applicants can be, or must be, I should say, a child or a ward of any council member or any municipal employee from a member of M&L. In other words, a municipality who is a member of M&L, which is virtually, I would think, virtually all of them. So just a reminder that scholarship is available.
Yep.
Yep. M&L resolutions deadline. I believe this year the M&L conference is in Corner Brook, probably around October sometime. Mm-hmm. We are basically being told that we have until August 11th to get any resolutions there to be debated and discussed with our partners in M&L at the next conference. And we also M&L is inviting members to nominate individuals for positions to the M&L Board of Directors. The positions that are open this year are Avalon, Central, Eastern, Labrador, Northern, and Western. I think that pretty well hits them all. Nomination deadline is September 10th, and I believe, Councillor Stoyles, you are the current Avalon representative.
I am.
Mm-hmm. So that is.
And I have a Board of Directors nomination form here to second the motion that Lucy run again.
Well, right. Do you need a motion for that?
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I want us to vote no, just so we can give her a hard time.
I knew her name was on it, though. Guaranteed.
Well, yes, we have every intention of signing.
Yes.
Good.
All right, now the last item, number 7, Municipal Assessment Agency. And I believe Councillor Stoyles sits on the board of the Municipal Assessment Agency.
I represent M&L on that board.
Right, M&L rep, right. And the Claire Simmons Scholarship Award is now up for nominations or application. Claire, I believe, was a professional accountant who worked as the administrator with the assessment agency. And that's open basically to any child of a councillor or employee working in a municipality. I don't think you have to be a member, do you, of M&L? You just have to use the Municipal Assessment Agency services. And I just wanted to make note that Brian Peach, for example, from Mount Pearl, is a previous winner of the scholarship. Mm-hmm. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. Infrastructure and Public Works. Who's doing this today? We've got a lot of people missing.
Myself.
So the alternate is going to do the presentation. I'm going to invite Councillor Tessier to second motions on that committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I just want to bring forth our typical summer activity report. Of course, just want to note that our staff are very diligently working around the city to make our city very beautiful for the summer months. Of course, they continue to do such a great job. First of all, I guess our bulk garbage collection. You'll recall earlier this year, Council, that we brought in a change to our bulk garbage collection where we would allow for 2 regular pickups for all of our residents, and then we would allow each resident an opportunity to call in twice or to request online a pickup on 2 occasions. And I'm just reporting today with much happiness, I guess, that particular program is working out very well. We've had a lot of uptake from residents, and people seem to be enjoying the service. So just a little update for Council on our bulk garbage. The changes that we made to the program seem to be working out.
Wonderful. Councillor Stiles with a question.
I'm just wondering how many people actually have taken advantage of it. Do we have the numbers? And if it's 20 or 50 or 100, do we have the numbers?
Mr. Antle, do we have actual numbers?
Approximately last week we ran, I think, we do bulk collections on Mondays.
Yeah.
We ran about 30 last week, and yesterday we did, or today is Wednesday? Today? Monday. Monday we did about 15, so it's about half of what we originally did the week previous.
It is anticipated as you go through the summer they would go down, though, right?
We would expect it would hold around these numbers, and we expect again in the fall, before we get into regular schedule, it might pick up again.
But it's working really well, right?
It's people seem to be receiving it well. It's on their schedule. It's on Mondays only. We take appointments for this. We ask people to fill out our online form so you can actually tell us what products you have at curbside, so we can schedule in the time to actually how long it'll take us to get to that house and clean it up.
It's going really well. Does that include medals?
It'll include medals as long as you put it on the online form. It won't include things like, make it clear, household hazardous waste collection. That's not for us to collect.
No.
That you bring that direct to Robin Bay yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to Director Antle for the information, certainly. Continuing on with the good news, the front rails of City Hall have now been repaired. We're also continuing to work on and repair all of our rails, benches, and light structures. We're repairing them, scraping them, painting them, freshening everything up for the summer months. Curb and sidewalk repairs are still ongoing throughout the city. Another good news item, our new water fountain at Lower Powers Pond, of course, has now been unveiled at our big city step out on Saturday past. Certainly things are functioning well there. It's a great addition to the city and to the Lower Powers Pond Park itself. Certainly want to make mention of all the councillors and staff and all the residents that came out to join us for that particular walk and unveiling of the fountain. It was a great morning. And certainly thank you to our staff for making sure that the fountain works appropriately. The street sweeper continues to work its way through the city. We've done 170 lawn repairs already this spring and summer. And certainly asphalt work is ongoing on our streets throughout the city. Our parks crews continue the general cleanup of our trails and green spaces. Crews are assigned daily here to City Hall and also to our green spaces and trailways to make sure that the litter is cleaned up from those areas. Certainly, as you say, Your Worship, we may not win the war on litter, but certainly we'll make a dent in it.
We're moving the front line.
We're moving the front line. There you go. Finally, our water main flushing continues. That program has now moved to the subdivisions off of Topsail Road. That started on June 30th. The valve exerciser is also operating in Topsail Road, and our repairs on our water and sewer lines continue throughout the city. So our crews are very active, certainly freshening the city up for the spring and summer months, and certainly want to congratulate our public works crews for all of the good work they've been doing. The second item we have has already been mentioned by Councillor Stiles and by Councillor Aker. Certainly our multiplex project is just about completed. As has been noted, it's at 98% financially complete. Right now we're in the commissioning stages. Training and recruitment of new staff is ongoing. And certainly, we're very proud to be getting into this facility now in the coming weeks and months. Certainly still on budget to open later this summer, still on schedule. And I think people are going to be really excited when they get in and get to use this facility. Certainly, I know that a lot of groups have been promised to be the first ones into the pool. I'm not going to wade into that discussion, as they say. Brutal, hey? But in any case...
Okay, pun of the week. He wins pun of the week.
I win. Perhaps I've won first into the pool. Is that what I've won?
Deep end.
Deep end. You can say that again.
And on we go.
On we go. The last item under Public Works is a tender, of course, for 2012 street upgrading. This is the CP2, Phase 2. The committee was advised that the tender for the 2012 street upgrading, Phase 2, was closed on June 18th. There was one bid received, and it is the recommendation of the Public Works Committee that the contract be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder. This is Fairview Investments Limited for the bid amount of $383,872.30, HST included, and I so move.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Tessier. Question or comment? What particular street are we talking here?
We are talking Manley Place, Brett Place, Crew Place, and Galway Crescent.
They're all small. These are recapping jobs? Okay. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Well, you might as well stay on your feet because planning is next, Councillor?
Might as well stay on the feet, doing double duty today, Your
Councillor
Worship.
Tessier, apparently you're still on for duty here.
Hard work, isn't it? First item under our Planning and Development Committee report is an accessory building in a flanking street side yard. It's on 23 Casters Drive. This is a proposal from a resident at 23 Casters Drive to construct a new 16 by 16 feet accessory building in the flanking street side yard of his property. You'll note this is right at the corner of Casters Drive and Exploits Place. The building is proposed to be used as a garage for storage, including an ATV and a Sea-Doo. Right now, a paved driveway is not proposed for the project here, but it is perhaps planned for the future. Now, you'll note, as in the report in the kit there, that the application for the accessory building does meet the conditions for an accessory building in a flanking street side yard. However, there are a couple of issues with this particular proposal. You'll see there Regulation 6.2.2 on accessory buildings in residential areas, and basically what that references is that if there's no, I guess, pattern in the particular development, no precedent that's been set for these kind of accessory buildings in flanking street side yards, then the particular application would be not consistent with that particular regulation. As well, in committee, we did determine that there were issues with sight lines and therefore with safety. There was concern with the fact that it's on a corner lot and folks coming out of Exploits Place might not be able to see up and down Casters Drive as perhaps they should be. It was also noted that while the driveway is not right now planned for the immediate future, certainly the potential would have to be there if the unit is going to be used for some storage of some vehicles. At some point there's going to need to be a driveway there, and certainly having a driveway coming out onto a street corner such as the one at Casters and Exploits would not be ideal for safety reasons. And of course, upon review from our Infrastructure and Public Works Division, there are also some concerns with snow load there. Of course, where it is a corner lot, there is an issue there with snow clearing, and oftentimes a lot of snow will be deposited onto a corner lot, and certainly the existence of this particular development would impede some of those processes. Therefore, it is the recommendation of the Planning and Development Committee that the application for an accessory building in the flanking street side yard at 23 Casters Drive be refused for the following reasons. Number one, the proposed location of the accessory building is contrary to Regulation 6.2.2b of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations, and pursuant to Regulation 4.5 discretionary powers, the development of the accessory building in this location will create safety and convenience concerns to vehicular traffic and will hamper municipal snow clearing operations at this corner. Furthermore, the applicant will need to access the garage, and it is likely that in future that a driveway will also be required for the garage. The potential of the driveway next to the street corner would not be acceptable, and sightlines in relation to use of such a driveway would not be acceptable. And I so move.
It is moved and seconded by Councillor Tessier. Any question or comment relating to the application? Councillor Aker.
Thank you, Your Worship. All the reasons that Councillor Ledwell listed before he even got to this particular property are the reasons our regulations are designed the way they are. And it's very important that we have sight lines. Safely, you should be able to safely come and go from the back of your garden. There should be adequate room for snow storage. The regulations really have been in effect for a long time. They really do work, and they do protect not only the citizens who use the street, but they protect the residents as well, because you don't know what damage could be done if you don't have a snow clearing buffer, for example, over the winter to your own private property. This is very consistent with what we've done in my time on council. This application is being treated by no other, and I'm going to support the motion.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, as you know, I will vote against the motion. I sit in the chair, and I suppose I shouldn't. As a result, I believe that sight lines are perfectly acceptable if the garage is built there. That in actual fact, it does not protrude past the building line of the house, which is the protection that we have built into all of our regulations to avoid sight lines. There is a Canada Post box in the snow clearing area. There is a fence to the rear of the house that can be extended to the front of the house where the garage would exist with no question. Snow clearing, therefore, I don't believe is an issue. Sight lines, therefore, are not an issue. The fact that 6.2.2 deals with development patterns, in other words, if the sin had been committed in the past, it can now continue in the area, leaves me a little flummoxed. So as I said to council prior, I will be voting against the motion in this instance, because quite frankly I think this is not a proper decision. Now, anybody else wish to speak? Because I should have left the chair to say all that. And we all know I should have. Fair enough. Councillor Stoyle.
I will speak to it too, Your Worship, because I wasn't privy. I wasn't at the last committee of the whole meeting, so I wasn't privy to the discussions that had happened prior to. One of the questions I was going to ask, if it was turned down, could they come back with a smaller accessory building, because this is 16 by 16. I'm just wondering if the size was a big thing. I sort of agree with Your Worship. I mean, I haven't been up on the site to look at but I certainly, would like to have a look at it myself. But I think even if it was smaller, if they came back with even a slightly smaller.
I do know that
version.
there was, Councillor, just by way of information, I do know that there was a request that they move the building back. That in actual fact, had they taken this particular garage that they're proposing to build and moved it further back, we would be more inclined to approve it. Now, of course, moving it further back does nothing as it relates to snow stacking. Moving it further back does nothing as it relates to some future need for a potential driveway, etc. The only thing that could be argued, I suppose, is that the sightline piece would remain intact. I can't say it would be improved, because I don't think it's damaged by the building being there, but that's where it currently sits. Any other thoughts, Councillor Redwall?
Your Worship, yes, you're right. There was some discussion at our Planning and Development Committee meeting, and certainly it was conveyed back to the resident that if he was able to move the accessory building back a bit towards the backyard, perhaps surround it or include it within the fence that is on the property, that yes, certainly that would be a different kettle of fish, as they say, and that we might be able to recommend that we accept that particular proposal. I think you're right. I think it would certainly improve the sight lines, and for me, it usually comes back to traffic safety and safety as a whole. I think the sight lines are very important at street corners, and certainly people need to be able to see up where they're going as they come out onto the street there. When it comes to right at that intersection, I think we had to stick with safety. That's what it boils down to for me, and that's why I'm moving the recommendation to refuse today.
Any other comments? Well, I guess you pretty well closed this debate on the matter. I'll call the question. All those in favor of the recommendation to deny the accessory building say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Please have it noted that the mayor says nay. Stop the clock. You can't. If you say nay with only 3 votes, I believe we have to have at least 4. I'm looking to the city clerk. Will that kill the motion? If we end up with a 3-2 vote, this vote is just a matter of the number of councillors not in office, councillors in-house. It's a majority of the 5 of us. I'm concerned about whether or not the vote requires at least 4 of the members in office, which deals with, I know, financial matters. In this instance, I'm being assured by the CAO that this is not an issue for this particular type of motion. Having said, I was not anticipating, Councillor, that you were voting against it, or I would have brought this up before even council happened. Having said that, motion carries at this point. So, Your Worship, it's a majority within the quorum? It's a majority within the quorum, but there are a number of motions within, the Municipalities Act and our City Act and others that require a majority of councillors in office, and some motions require a 2/3 majority of the people in office. But here, I'm not used to having a motion passed with just 3 votes, I guess is what got me freaked out here. Okay, that's fine. Motion is carried. Sorry, Councillor Redwall, carry on.
Your Worship, thank you. The second item for planning and development this evening, this is an application for a new building. It's a second building on a lot. It's an application from Tempo Construction Management Incorporated. It's on behalf of SSB Developments Incorporated. And the property in question is 161 Glencoe Drive. It's an application, of course, on behalf of the groups involved to develop an approximate 149 square meter new building. It's a second building in the rear yard of the lot in question, and complete the associated site work at 161 Glencoe Drive. The lot has a frontage of 32 meters, and the proposed, or actually not the proposed, this is the area of the lot, it's 4,472 square meters. Now, the building that currently exists on the property is a multi-tenant, light-use industrial building, combined uses for office, workshop, and warehouse. Now, the second building is to be located at the rear of the property, at the rear of the yard there, and the proposed building is to be used for storage of construction-related material. The building is not proposed to be water and sewer serviced, and there's no additional parking or asphalt paving proposed as part of this development. Now, this particular application has been reviewed by our planning and development staff and certainly discussed by our planning and development committee. And certainly the department and the committee recommend that this particular application be accepted as per the conditions that you'll see listed in the kit there. And these are, of course, very typical and normal conditions for all of the applications that come forward to council. So it is the recommendation of the Planning and Development Committee that the application by Tempo Construction Management Incorporated on behalf of the property owner at SSB Development Incorporated, proposing to develop an approximate 149 square metre new building and complete associated site work at 161 Glencoe Drive for a proposed light industry warehouse use be approved and the development permit be issued subject to the conditions outlined by the Planning and Development Department, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded. The only question I would have is, while no water and sewer services or other services are considered at this time with this application, I look to the city planner, Mr. Yafchak. Have we considered, though, that somebody could want a future use for this building where water and sewer services would be required, and are they available? Is it easy to access them from that site? I'm just looking at the map that's here on the actual site plan.
We didn't consider the introduction of future water and sewer services, but if indeed it was the intention to change the shed or the accessory building from a storage facility, then they would have to go through the process again. And we have to take a look at it at that point in time. There is, without making any real specific comment on the possibility of putting water and sewer services there, there is a side yard there which could be used for bringing the services that they require. But again, that would be subject to actual more detailed analysis. So no, we really need that consideration at this point. That's something to find.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Any others? Questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion's carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moving right along, our third item for planning and development, I guess, might be qualified as a bittersweet item.
Yeah, sad one, really.
Sad one for sure. Not a sad one for Miss Aylward, I'm
Not
quite
a sad
certain.
one for Bronda.
No. Just want to advise council and the public, of course, as we all know, that Bronda Aylward, our Manager of Economic and Development and Business Liaison, is retiring. It says here July 3rd. I thought her last day was today. Today, right, so it should be July 2nd perhaps. But in any case, she is retiring after 31 fantastic years of service with the city. She was a member, a very valued member, of course, of our Planning and Development Committee in recent times. And, you know, as a relatively new councillor, I was certainly pleased to avail of her experience and knowledge. Certainly we want to wish her all the best for a happy and healthy retirement, and we want to congratulate her on all of the great service she's done to the city of Mount Pearl.
Worship, I want to
Absolutely, and I know everybody's going to want to have something to say. So, Councillor Stiles?
I will start. I wanted to say that on Friday of last week I was certainly honoured to come and to be here. But what impressed me the most was all the people who came. Like, lots of times you have something and you invite people to come, and but an awful lot of our former employees came, former mayors and staff who came to see Bronda, and it was so uplifting. It showed how much she had done with the city when former employees would come out and take the afternoon and come and say goodbye to her. So I was delighted to see all those people come out. I mean, all of us were there, but it was so nice to see the other staff here within the city, people up at the depot and people all across the city staff that came. But I was really impressed to see the former employees come, and it was so nice that we did invite them, former councillors, even way back 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I mean, when you see someone like Pat O'Keefe coming out, who never served on council with me, and I'm here almost 20 years. I don't think he served with you either. No. And he was here, he said, when Bronda was hired. So, and many others that came out as well. So I just wanted to say thank you to Bronda for all she's done. I think we mentioned it at our last public meeting, of all the work she did within the city and with economic development, and she done an awful lot of travelling with the city as well, bringing business back and forth to the city. And as they said last Friday, she's responsible for building Donovan's. She might not be responsible for building all Donovan's, but let me tell you, she had a pretty good hand in it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Yes.
I suppose everybody got to
Well,
say something,
only-
haven't you? How can you let this go?
Only because I wasn't at the last public meeting. I did read in the minutes that there were accolades certainly presented to Branda. Now, I was in Halifax, so unfortunately I didn't get an opportunity. I did give Branda a phone call myself when she announced her retirement. 31 years is a big commitment to an organization. And for all of those 31 years, I think it's very safe to say that Branda gave 120% to this city, always with the betterment of the city at the forefront. So I want to commend her for her service to the city. 31 years is a tremendous amount of time. I'm not sure if any of the young people coming up these days will ever see 31 years in one organization. You know, you see that it's, you know, people tend to get a little more bored. Branda has done a great job, a fabulous job with our city, and I wanted to wish her well. Tell her I'm ridiculously jealous of the fact that she gets to retire and she's still young enough to have a whole lot of fun.
And will.
And will. But again, I missed the opportunity to be able to wish her well in public chambers, so I'm really appreciative to take advantage of the opportunity right now.
Thank you. Councillor Aker?
Yeah, I too want to. I've only known Branda for about 6 years.
Is that
in
all?
my time on council, yes. I knew of her in another life that I hold, because at one time the Housing Corporation owned Donovan's, and it was transferred over to the city, in part because it wasn't selling that well. There was some other politics involved, but Branda really took the lead on that, and that's where she left her mark. But in my time on council, in her role as economic development manager, she's very dedicated. She worked with lots of vigor, and she was always focused on the job at hand. She's a very unique asset to the city. She'll continue, I hope, to live in the city of Mount Pearl. We're going to miss her around the table here, and whoever fills her job, Your Worship, will have big shoes to fill. So good luck to Branda.
That is very, very true. Thank you very much. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. We continue on, just a couple more items. Next up is an item that has to do, of course, with the ongoing effort at this point to acquire some land, assemble some land for open space purposes down around Forest Avenue, adjacent to the Waterford River. Now, this is, of course, specifically in relation to 30A Forest Avenue. The city has made 2 offers to date to purchase this particular piece of property and expressed our interest in acquiring it. To date, the property owner has not agreed to the purchase price, and therefore that brings about a discussion on expropriation. Upon the discussion with Council and with our Planning and Development Committee, the recommendation is that the following action be recommended. Number 1, Council approved the expropriation of the property at 30A Forest Avenue, and the purchase value of the property be determined through an assessment board as established under the Urban and Rural Planning Act. Number 2, Council direct the city's solicitor to contact the Minister of Municipal Affairs and commence the expropriation process, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded. Question or comment? Hearing none. All those in favour?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Next item is our development permit listing, of course, for the period of June 16th through the 27th of 2014. You'll see the 3 permits listed there, numbers 39, 40, and 41, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Development permit list. All those in favour?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
And finally, Your Worship, just 2 last motions from Planning and Development. First of all, our building construction residential totals for the period of June 16th to the 27th of 2014. You'll see that, once again, we have had a busy period, I suppose, with the onset of summer weather and people doing work out around their homes. The total for the period for residential purposes is $168,500, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All in favour? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
And finally, Your Worship, it's the permit listing on the commercial side. You'll see the total there for the same period of $5,887,400, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All in favour? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. That concludes planning.
Thank you very much. Transportation Public Safety Committee report. Councillor Tessier.
My goodness, we won't be nearly as long as planning. We've got a note to motorists. We're asking our motorists to exercise caution. Now, the children are out of school and they're using our streets and our parks, and I know that it still continues to be, unfortunately, the case because we see it all the time with commentary from residents that we get, complaints from residents that we get, that there's still a lot of motorists speeding. Mount Pearl has, the majority of Mount Pearl is residential streets, and we're still getting a lot of people expressing tremendous concern about the speeds of traffic. Our children are out. They are not going to be looking for you. You have to look for them. So it's just really important that our motorists are very cognizant in our city streets and around certainly our parks and our public facilities. Along that same vein, the city has received 6 new flashing radar signs. They're going to be installed in areas throughout the city within the coming weeks. So we want to extend our appreciation to the motorists who recognize that when they see that speed numbers flashing in front of them, that means they're speeding. If you don't see a number flashing, that means you're doing a good job. You're adhering to the speed limit.
Somebody should have told me that, because I went around for weeks thinking the one up by the school was broken.
No, that means that you're actually adhering to the speed limit. So I'm really happy to hear you say that.
Well, that's because when you come off Moore's Drive and you turn to go up, you can't get up enough speed from that dead stop. You're under.
But it's very important.
But I always passed it. The thing never ever turned on, and I said for weeks, I said that thing is broken. It's got to be broken. But it's not
broken. That is definitely not broken.
No,
so if
works
you
good.
see the numbers flashing,
Slow down.
that means you're speeding.
Yep.
So that's your indicator. So 6 more of these are going to go up in the city. We're really, of course, we heard it all last fall when we were campaigning at the doors. We hear it constantly through email and phone calls as well. It's just incredibly important that people adhere to the speed limits, because when there is an accident, when there's a tragedy, it's too late then. And then everybody
have you
lives so
identified, I believe I may have asked this, but I'm going to do it on behalf of the reporter in the room now. Where are the 6 sites?
2 are going to go on Michener Avenue. 1 is going to go up. One is on Richard Nolan, up facing in one direction. 1 is going to go up on, I'm going to say Baffin, but that may not be right. It may not be. Sorry? Yeah, in that area. And there's 1 left. Where's the last one going? I can't remember. Smallwood Drive? Yes, on Smallwood Drive. So these
she gets a full star for that.
But these
Good
are the
for you.
areas that we know that we're getting some concerns
we're getting
with.
some speeding complaints.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, our park patrol are in place. They're going to be monitoring our trails, our parks, and our facilities throughout the summer months. So if residents see anything that causes them any concern at all, don't hesitate to contact the city at 748-1000. We heard earlier about us doing a great job keeping our trailways clean and beautiful and tidy, and we also want to make sure that they are very safe for all of our residents to use. And that is it from me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, councillors. We do have one additional committee report, not contained in the regular agenda, but we mentioned it at the outset. Regional Services Environment Committee, Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you. We just have a couple of short items. One is the Regional Water Committee. Bay Bulls Pond is dropping. We still have lots of water. It's not a problem, but we still are using our conservation and asking people from Wednesdays and Saturdays, the even numbers from 6 to 8 p.m. watering, and from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night, and the odd numbers, I think, is supposed to be Thursday and Sunday.
No.
Both of them are Wednesday? Because
so, aren't they?
I didn't think both of them are Wednesday. Okay, I thought you made a mistake with the So it's 2 Wednesdays, and that's Wednesday and Sunday, and the same time, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and just to let the public know. Also, Your Worship, I attended the signing ceremony for the regional firefighters signing their contract last week, and Colleen Butler has a contract of that up in her office. I meant to get a copy of it before today, and I wasn't able to get in touch with Colleen this afternoon to get it, but anybody is interested in seeing it, it's Colleen, and it's a copy here at City Hall. And the other item, Your Worship, I have is outside wood burning fire pits, or whatever we would call them. We don't have, you can still use them within the city. We don't have a bylaw banning them, but we're asking people when they use them to be mindful of their neighbours, and if they have a neighbour that has lung problems or whatever, maybe they can not use them on certain evenings when it's hot out and the windows are open. But and we're also asking them to be mindful of the wood they use, to make sure there's dry wood and just wood burning wood, not household garbage or just any kind of wood, because that's mostly the complaints that we do get, is when people burn trees and burn, leftovers and that from old wood that, is around the house. We're asking people to be very mindful of their neighbours, and if they know of a neighbour that has a lung problem, maybe they won't use them at all, and be very mindful of their neighbours. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Tessier, you want to speak to that?
Yes, I want to speak to the fire pits, because as someone who, we certainly enjoy the use of our fire pit, our backyard fire pit, not so much in recent years, but certainly enjoy that. But we understand that where the concerns will lie with people, and we've all heard it before during the summer months, if, as Councillor Stoyles indicated, if you don't burn dry seasonal firewood, you're going to have smoke. If you burn greenwood, you're going to have smoke. You're going to have flankers. Also, be mindful of the wind velocity. I believe that we may actually have a regulation that you can't light a fire pit past a certain wind velocity for nuisance and safety reasons. I stand to be corrected, but I think that there is some, or maybe there's a recommendation. And also, if you are enjoying an outside fire pit and you've got your music going with your friends and your neighbors and whoever is there, be mindful of the hour of when you're there as well. You don't want to disrupt anybody's sleep. It keeps people happier when you're not causing a nuisance.
Especially at 11 o'clock.
Absolutely, that's right. We do have our own noise regulations that go past 11 o'clock as well. So you really can't intrude on somebody's ability for a peaceful night's sleep.
Well, all you guys know how I feel about backyard composting, right?
Yep.
You all know what I would do with backyard composters. I would ban them. You know that. Chimeneas and backyard pits on postage stamped lots in major urban centers. You know what I do with those too, right? It's a recipe for all kinds of problems, and we've encountered them. Everything from smoke on people's brand new washed clothes hung on the line to intakes in people's houses, their air intake systems bringing smoke into the house. Well, you know what I would do with them. They belong in the country. End of story.
That's why it's so important to adhere to.
Oh, more so than ever, we need to adhere to them, and we need to enforce them as a result. All right, I believe that concludes all committee reports. We are on to new business. Councillor Stoyles, if you would.
I do have something, Your Worship. I want to pass along my sympathies to two families in Mount Pearl who've lost loved ones, and that's Phil Field, who passed away. Phil was a great volunteer within the city. I've known him, he lived up around the corner from me. I've known him, for 35 years or more, and he's a big loss to the community. And Ann Edison passed away, a lifetime resident of Mount Pearl, raised a daughter in here, and her husband Larry, who died 8 years ago, was a personal friend of mine, and I certainly knew Ann through some mutual friends and that as well. And I was at the funeral this afternoon, and I wanted to pass along my sympathies to both of those families, Your Worship.
Thank you very much.
And that's it for me.
Councillor Tessier.
On my feet again. I've been receiving a couple of emails about roaming cats, and I know this is an issue that comes up every summer. We're all of the mindset that we should probably always keep our dogs on a tether, but some people feel that it's acceptable to open your door and let your cat go out. And when in actual fact it actually isn't. It is against our regulations. Cats are unfortunately using flower beds as litter boxes, and people spend a lot of money and a lot of effort on their gardening, and so it's very important that we're all cognizant of that and that we ensure that we don't open our doors and let our cats out, because it does create a nuisance for the neighbors, and it's also a safety concern for the pet itself as well. And speaking of which, RNC, I saw it on social media, the RNC are cracking down a little bit on pets left in vehicles. Today is a very warm day. It's a very, very warm day today. So you might have your pet in the car and you're just going to run into the bank machine. Crack your windows, of course, but sometimes that very short visit ends up being a little bit longer than anticipated. And if a cat or if an animal is in distress in a vehicle, the RNC have indicated that they will use forcible measures to relieve the animal of its distress to get into that car somehow. So I'd implore on people, it's very, very dangerous. Don't leave your animals in a car if it's hot, because it's just so dangerous. And when we were talking about the pool earlier, I wanted to let council know that I know that we've had this in public chambers before, but I'm not sure if we ever really appreciated it. Several of us went to the Marlins end of the year banquet last week, and as a result of our new facility that'll be opening this summer, the Marlins are going to be hosting the Atlantic Region Short Course Champs. That is a first for Newfoundland and Labrador. That is the first time that this particular event is coming to Newfoundland and Labrador.
Coming to our new pool, isn't it?
Coming to our new pool.
Well, why am I not surprised?
So it's a real feather in the hat of the Marlins. We're really excited.
It is.
And it'll be an exciting. It's in February.
Wonderful.
It's in February. But anyway, they're all very, very excited about playing host to this. It's the first time that this particular, as I said, this particular event has come to the province. And we're really thrilled that we're going to be the host city.
Councillor Aker.
Yeah, a couple of items, Your Worship, but yeah, the Marlins Banquet, they had a great season, and they have a real great group of volunteers. The club is thriving, and they're looking forward to the to getting in the new facility. Whether they're first, second, or third, I don't think it really matters. They're going to enjoy it as much as any group here in the city. I want to congratulate Mike Bugden, Business Director, and Jerry Rice, who's the chair of the Mount Pearl Sport Alliance. They had a great year. They had a barbecue last week, and all the sporting groups as well as their sponsors turned out. I think it was the biggest crowd I've seen in a few years at that particular event, right, to me? So I guess they're switching over from one season to the next. They're taking the summer off, but I want to congratulate Jerry's is a volunteer, and he has a great board behind him, including Mike. So congratulations to them. And the last thing I wanted to mention was a little, I got a call from a resident up on Erickson Street who said yesterday they had a little Canada Day block party. And they wanted to throw out kudos, and I want to echo this for the benefit of Director Collins, to Danielle Gravette, one of our municipal enforcement officers. Now, they had a very busy day yesterday. They had to organize and protect and secure a parade, as well as the wreath-laying ceremony for Memorial Day. And then they had to come up to St. David's from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and probably an hour before and an hour after, and they had to basically do security and patrol and keep the order, as well as, maintain traffic. But in between that, they managed to show up, and there was a group of kids at the particular Canada Day neighborhood party, and they were all in the car, they were given stickers, and it creates such a positive relationship between not only the MEOs but the police and the youth in our city. So, and I'm sure if it was anybody else on staff who had been on yesterday, they would have done exactly the same thing. So while Danielle may be the part of the conversation, I would like you, Director Collins, if you could pass on to the entire team the gratitude of the residents that they were thrilled with what happened yesterday. And that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of quick items for me. I just want to join with Councillor Stolz, I'm sure the rest of Council, in passing on my condolences to the family of Phil Field. As a member of the Mount Pearl Lions Club myself, certainly I'm very familiar with the level of commitment that Mr. Field put forth as a member of the Lions Club. If I'm not mistaken, he might be one of the original Lions. And I know that he was very, very heavily involved in the Super Radio Bingo, going around selling cards and picking up unsold cards. And that was a really heavy project that he did for a number of years. So certainly he'll be missed both in the city but also as a Lion in Mount Pearl. Secondly, I just have a little bit of a public service announcement, I guess, from our Engineering Services Division. We want to let people know, our public know, about some work that's going to be happening this coming weekend in Donovan's. We wish to advise area residents and motorists that there's going to be placement of surface course asphalt. It's going to be happening on Saturday, July 5th, this coming Saturday. Of course, it's weather permitting, but it is in the area of Sagona Avenue in Donovan's from Glencoe to Bruce. Okay, so traffic is going to be detoured there. There will be local access to the various businesses in the area. However, for through traffic, the street is going to be closed. We're going to do this on Saturday, of course, to provide the least amount of disruption to motorists, to allow for some quality work as opposed to a rush job and having to deal with a lot of traffic. We just want to let people know, therefore, that this is happening on Saturday. Sagona is going to be closed for through traffic from Glencoe Drive to Bruce Street, and perhaps motorists may wish to avoid that particular stretch of road.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Just one little final moment for me, and I join with everyone in passing on our sympathies both to the Edison family. I did not know Anne very well, Councillor Stiles, but I certainly knew Larry very well. Our sympathies to them, and certainly I knew Phil Field very well. He was a tremendous citizen, was once a Citizen of the Year, and in fact, he was an outstanding member of our community beyond just being an exceptional member of the Lions Club. He will be missed. Our sympathies to his family as well. Just very quickly, our big city walk, our big city step out, had it on Saturday. Some of you showed up. Thank you for that. Some of you took in the walk. We did do it on the Saturday of what is really an extended long weekend. I don't think we got the turnout that we kind of wanted. But having done it, I really believe that we should do it as a launch event as part of Recreation Month next June. And let's invite the community to participate with us again in that, but do it early in June as part of the launch for our Recreation Month in Mount Pearl. Otherwise, very successful. And the thing that I noticed, and I think all members of council that walked noticed it as well, and others did as well, we never saw as much as a gum wrapper. The trails were spotless, and I'm being told that wasn't done because that was the route we were going to walk, that in actual fact our litter campaign and our anti-litter group and our public service staff are working diligently to try and really improve in this area for us. So all kudos to them. Got a beautiful new fountain down there in the Little Powers Pond. I'm told people are showing up at night to take pictures, and I think that's really pretty neat. Somebody is going to get asked to get married there. You know that, right? That's guaranteed before the summer is over. So, well, I'll do that. But somebody is going to ask somebody to marry him down there this summer. Canada Day was a huge success yesterday. The wreath-laying ceremony in recognition of Memorial Day, July 1 being the day that we all recognize as simply Beaumont Hamel. Our wreath-laying ceremony yesterday, for the first time in a long time, our audio was really good. So I thank staff and others for working on that and making it happen. We had a nice turnout of people, not as large as we get for November the 11th, but still nice. And as I say, I think it's fair to say the Canada Day celebration had to be one of the biggest and therefore one of the most successful we've had in a long, long time. Summer has arrived. So says the mayor. And on that note, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Ledwell. We stand adjourned, everyone. Thank you very much.